All right, Dennis, we're going live on YouTube now.
Okay.
Just getting it streamed, and I'm using audio to let everybody know because that's probably going to be the fastest way to try and type this to about 6 people at the same time.
Okay.
All right, brethren, we are live on YouTube at this time, and I'm going to go ahead and mute myself. And Dennis, I'll unmute you when we're ready.
This is also going to be on the Zoom meeting, isn't it?
Yes, sir, most worshipful.
Okay. Just click anywhere. Just click on here. That gets rid of your own screen. Okay. And I don't know how to get to Bluetooth, and I just don't. Or to Zoom.
Most worshipful Brother Anderson, we are done here. I don't know if you'd like to kick us off or if we're going to start from the Grand Lodge and then pass back to you.
Whichever you like, Jonathan, just let me know. Okay. So, do we have a go-ahead for YouTube and everything?
Most worshipful, there's about a 10-second delay between us and YouTube. I've got you spotlit now so that they can see you at the Grand Lodge, and I'm waiting on instructions from Jonathan.
Thank you. I have no idea how we get to anything else. I just don't know. We'll just have to go off of this. Hello, Jonathan. Oh, oh, sounds good. We will do this. Thank you.
Testing.
Okay, brethren, I just got a
You hear
call
me,
from
Dennis?
the Grand Master elect. Yes, I can hear you fine.
Testing.
Yes, I can hear you fine. There's about a 20-second delay.
Okay.
It's a little
Here we
faint,
go.
but I can hear you. Okay. Brethren, I want to welcome everyone to the 144th annual installation of the Grand Lodge Officers, Grand Lodge in New Mexico. My name is Dennis
hear you at
Anderson,
all.
for those who don't recognize me, and I'm very, very honored to do this installation. I would like to say just a little bit of words about my thoughts of installation. As I was a member of the 12th District in the southern part of New Mexico, Ron Brinkman did our installations for 40 years straight. We did joint installations with 3 lodges, had a nice meal, wonderful day. Did it on a Saturday, one of the highlights of my Masonic year, every year. And I hope we can kind of reinstate that a little bit today, because installations are a time of change. They're a time of giving thanks to our people going out, especially Most Worshipful Brother Gary, and of the people coming in. So, with that all said, Brother Grand Marshal, you will please present the Grand Master elect. And just the logistics, I'm going to have to look over here once in a while, because that's where my screen is at, to see what's going on. I apologize for that. It comes up. Yeah, we got it.
Most worshipful, I have the honor to present Brother Jonathan Andrews, who has been duly elected to be Grand Master of Masons for the ensuing year, signifies his acceptance of the office and his readiness to be installed therein.
I don't. Brother Andrews, you will face the west. Brother, you now behold before you Right Worshipful Brother Jonathan Andrews, who has been duly elected Grand Master of Masons in New Mexico and is now presented for installation. If anyone knows aught wherefore our brother should not be so installed, let him now stand forth and declare it, or forever after hold his peace. Hearing no objection, I shall proceed with the installation. Brother Grand Marshal will place our brother at the altar, there to receive the benefit of prayer, to take upon himself his official obligation.
Let us pray. Let us pray. Eternal source of life and light, we ask thy blessing upon thy servant now before thee, as he is about to enter upon new and responsible duties and assume new and important relations to his brethren. Invest him with thy choicest gifts. May heavenly wisdom illuminate his mind. May heavenly power give strength to his exertions. May heavenly goodness fill and enlarge his breast. May his feet rest upon the rock of justice, and from his hands may streams of beneficence continually flow. May his administration of the affairs of the fraternity redound to thy glory, the good of the craft, and the welfare of mankind. Add thy blessings upon the officers associated with him. May they be faithful and zealous in upholding the hands of their chief in all good deeds. And with a just sense of their accountability to thee and to the craft, may they labor for the advancement of the interests of our institution. Bless the Grand Lodge and the constituent lodges in this jurisdiction and all the brotherhood wherever dispersed. Make them more helpful and beneficial to each other and to all thy children, and inspire them with an ardent love for thee, for their brethren, and for the whole human family. In thee we put our trust. Guide us through all the vicissitudes of life, and at last bring us to dwell in thy presence forever. Amen.
So mote it be. My brother, you will now repeat after me your official obligation. I solemnly promise upon the honor of a Mason
I solemnly promise upon the honor of a Mason
that in the office of Grand Master of Masons,
that in the office of Grand Master of Masons,
I will, according to the best of my abilities,
I will, according to the best of my abilities,
faithfully and impartially perform all duties incumbent upon me,
faithfully and impartially perform all duties incumbent upon me,
that I will strictly conform
that I will strictly conform
to the Constitution, laws, rules, and regulations of the Most Worshipful Grand Lodge of New Mexico,
to the Constitution, laws, rules, and regulations of the Most Worshipful Grand Lodge of New Mexico,
and all other ancient Masonic usages,
and all other ancient Masonic usages,
so far as the same shall come to my knowledge.
so far as the same shall come to my knowledge.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Brother Grand Marshal, you will conduct the Grand Master-elect from the altar to the east. I assume he's there. Most worshipful brother, we most cordially congratulate you upon your election to this, the most distinguished and important office in the gift of your Masonic brethren. It is needless for me to enumerate the many and varied duties incumbent upon you as a man, as a citizen, as a Mason, and as the Grand Master, and therefore for the time the chief among your peers. The confidence reposed in you to the by this Grand Lodge in electing you to the supreme command is an ample guarantee of the Masonic world, of your wisdom and your worth. You cannot, my brother, be insensible of the deep and solemn importance of the station you are now about to assume, nor the many cares and perplexities which attend its unequaled honors. These perplexities, however, will be greatly alleviated by the affectionate regard and ready assistance of your brethren, who have full confidence that you will discharge the important duties of your station with credit to yourself and honor to the fraternity. It's with pleasure that I now invest you with the jewel as the badge of your office. With its symbolism, you are somewhat familiar, but for the future, it will have for you a new and striking significance, for it will silently admonish you to always do justice to the cause of Masonry and to consult in all your actions the true interests of the institution. While the tools of operative Masonry, to us the most expressive symbols, the Book of Constitutions and the Holy Writings are all in your charge, I would especially call your attention to the latter. In these you will find the principles upon which Masonry is founded, and from which it derives its wisdom, strength, and beauty. I also deliver to you the emblem of that power with which you are now invested. In your hands, it must never be sounded in vain. Use it only for the good of the craft. I now welcome you to the east of the Grand Lodge of New Mexico, and ask the privilege of being the first to assure you of my fealty and obedience. If you would please be seated. Brethren, behold your Grand Master. Most worshipful Grand Master, behold your brethren. Brethren, salute your Grand Master with grand honors. I don't know if they're rapping or not. Brother Grand Marshal, you represent the Deputy Grand Master. And brother, you'll repeat after me your official obligation. I solemnly promise upon the honor of a Mason,
I solemnly promise upon the honor of a Mason,
and in the office to which I have been elected,
the office to which I've been elected,
I will, according to the best of my abilities,
I will, to the best of my abilities,
faithfully and impartially perform
faithfully and
Did we lose it?
impartially perform
Disconnect. Are we there?
We're there, most worshipful, and he's caught up to faithfully and impartially perform.
Thank you. My headset seems to go out occasionally. All duties incumbent upon me
all duties incumbent upon me,
that I will strictly conform
that I will strictly conform
to the Constitution, laws, rules, and regulations
to the Constitution, rules, laws, and regulations
of the Most Worshipful Grand Lodge of New Mexico,
of the Most Worshipful Grand Lodge of New Mexico,
and all other ancient Masonic usages
and all other ancient and Masonic usages,
so far as the same shall come to my knowledge.
as far as the same shall come to my knowledge.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Right worshipful brother, it is with much pleasure that I invest you with this jewel as the badge of the office of Deputy Grand Master. Oh, he's going to conduct it. The station to which you have been called by the suffrages of your brethren is one of great dignity and importance. In the absence of the Grand Master, you are to exercise his prerogatives, and in his presence you are to assist him with your counsel and cooperation. While your powers and prerogatives are thus extensive, they carry with them grave responsibilities. The honor that has been conferred upon you demands a corresponding fidelity and attachment to the interests of those to whose respect and confidence you are indebted for your official elevation. It is essential that you be thoroughly familiar with all the laws, usages, and customs of Masonry, in order that you may never be ever ready to exercise the functions of that more exalted office to which you may be called. Brother Grand Marshal, you will present the Senior and Junior Grand Wardens, please. Or just one if we have to go that way. Now, brothers, you will repeat after me your official obligation. Place your right hand over your heart, please. I solemnly promise on the honor of a Mason and the office to which I have been elected, I will, according to the best of my abilities, faithfully and impartially perform all duties incumbent upon me, that I will strictly conform to the Constitution, laws, rules, and regulations of the Most Worshipful Grand Lodge of New Mexico, and all other ancient Masonic usages, so far as the same shall come to my knowledge. So help me God. Right, Worshipful Brother Shank, by the suffrages of your brethren, you have elected the Senior Grand Warden. We now invest you with the jewel of your office. Your regular attendance at the communications of the Grand Lodge is essentially necessary. In the absence of the Grand Master and his deputy, you are to govern the craft. In their presence, you are to strengthen and support your chief. We firmly rely on your knowledge of Masonry and your attachment to our institution for the faithful discharge of the duties of this important trust. Look well to the west. Right, worshipful Brother Malagmerd? I think we already did him, but I'll go ahead and read his speech. By the suffrage of your brethren, you've been elected their junior Grand Warden, and we now invest you with the jewel of your office. Your regular and punctual attendance at the communications of the Grand Lodge is earnestly requested. In the absence of your superior officers, you are to govern the craft. In their presence, you will aid them in their arduous labors. We doubt not that you will faithfully perform the duties which are incumbent upon you in your present position. Look well to the south. And we are going to do the Grand Treasurer and Grand Secretary together, I believe. Is Brother Olson present there? Excellent. All right, wish for Brother Baker from Roswell. I would ask if you could to join us in an obligation.
I am here.
You'll each place your right hand over your heart and repeat after me. I solemnly promise upon the honor of a Mason.
I solemnly promise upon the honor of the nation.
That in the office to which I have been elected,
In the office to which I have been elected,
I will perform to the best of my abilities,
I will perform to the best of my ability,
faithfully and impartially,
faithfully and impartially,
all duties incumbent upon me.
all duties incumbent upon me,
That I will strictly conform
that I will strictly conform
to the Constitution, laws, rules, and regulations
to the Constitution, laws, rules, and regulations
of the Most Worshipful Grand Lodge of New Mexico,
of the Most Worshipful Grand Lodge of New Mexico,
and all other ancient Masonic usages,
and all other ancient Masonic usages,
so far as the same shall come to my knowledge,
so far as the same shall come to my knowledge.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Right, worshipful brother, you've been elected responsible to the responsible office of Grand Treasurer and are invested with the jewel of your office. It is your duty to receive all monies from the Grand Lodge, from the Grand Secretary, to keep a faithful account of the same and pay them out by order of the Grand Master with the consent and approbation of the Grand Lodge. The office to which you have been elected imposes upon you an important trust. The choice of your brethren is an evidence of the high opinion they entertain of your fidelity and discretion. We do not doubt that your regard for the fraternity will prompt you to the faithful discharge of your duties. All right, worshipful Brother Olson, you've been elected the important office of Grand Secretary. We now invest you with the jewel of your office and place in your charge of its archives and its records. It is your duty to receive all monies due the Grand Lodge and pay them over to the Grand Treasurer. You are to observe all the proceedings of the Grand Lodge and make a fair record of all things proper to be written. You are also the official organ of the Grand Lodge, and in that capacity you will conduct its various correspondence and act as the medium of intercourse between the fraternity and the Grand Master. In the discharge of these extensive duties, we feel assured that your carriage and behavior will be marked by a promptitude and discretion that will at once reflect credit on yourself and honor on the body whom you represent. And you're going to, Brother, let's see, Most Worshipful Grand Master, would you please announce your appointive officers?
The appointed officers for the 2021 year: Grand Chaplain Don Chasso, Grand Orator Jay Williams.
I have them here if you'd like, Jonathan.
What was that? Grand Lecturer Scott Jakewith, Grand Marshal Virgil Brumbelow, Grand Sword Bearer Jared Roberts, Senior Grand Deacon Robin Justice, Junior Grand Deacon Kevin Fitzwater, Senior Grand Steward Steve Bell, Junior Grand Steward Don Bovia, Grand Historian Tyler Anderson, Grand Tyler Leon Alderetti, and Grand Lodge Musician Tony Christofferson.
Thank you. This is going to be a little tricky. I'm going to ask all the appointed Grand Lodge officers that are online, would you please stand? And I would like the senior and junior Grand Deacons to be brought into the room, please. Would you click that off? I can't see the lodge. I need to... Oh, there we go. Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to have these gentlemen take the obligation, all the other appointed Grand Lodge officers, if you would please follow with us, whether you're online or happen to be present at Grand Lodge. I know that I believe Scott is there, so we can get those taken care of. So, would you please place your right hand over your heart and repeat after me the official obligation. I solemnly promise upon the honor of a Mason.
I solemnly promise upon the honor of a Mason.
And in the office to which I have been appointed.
And to the office to which I have been appointed.
I will, according to the best of my abilities.
I will, according to the best of my abilities.
Faithfully and impartially perform.
Faithfully and impartially perform.
All duties incumbent upon me.
All duties incumbent upon me.
That I will strictly conform.
And I will strictly conform.
To the Constitution, laws, rules, and regulations of the Most Worshipful Grand Lodge of New Mexico.
To the Constitution, laws of the Grand Lodge of New Mexico.
And all other ancient Masonic usages.
And all other ancient Masonic usages.
So far as the same shall come to my knowledge.
So far as the same shall come to my knowledge.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Right Worshipful Brothers Robin and Kevin, you have been appointed as the Grand Deacons of this Grand Lodge, and we now invest you with the jewels of your office and these rods as emblem of your authority. It is your province and duty to attend upon the Grand Master and the Grand Wardens, and to act as their proxies in the more active duties of the Grand Lodge. Your devotion to Masonry will prompt you to the vigilance in the performance of your duties. And if we could have the Grand Lecturer, I believe Scott is present. Is there? No? Very well, then do we want to try and do any of the other online officers, or Jonathan, are you going to try and do those later? I lost it here. Damn. Hello, I'm sorry, I must have missed something there. I think my Bluetooth went out.
Most Worshipful, we didn't get any audio from the Grand Lodge either.
Okay, is it back now?
I sure hope so.
Hello?
Still no audio. Most Worshipful Brother Jonathan Andrews, we don't have your mic on at current.
Okay, are you getting me now? Hello?
We can hear you, Most Worshipful Brother Anderson. We cannot hear the Grand Lodge at current.
Okay, thank you. I'll stand by. It's theirs, dear. We're fine.
Daisy, you're fine. You're okay.
No, we're fine. Very good. I'm assuming that nobody can hear. I'm assuming the rest. It doesn't matter.
Most Worshipful, I believe
Can
we
everyone
found a
online hear me
workaround.
now?
We've got you now, Most Worshipful.
Great.
Great, I'm on my phone. I will go ahead and do the rest of the installation of officers here in just a few minutes. I believe that the Grand Marshal still needs to make proclamation
Yes.
when I finish. Great.
Okay. Brethren, I would like to say just a quick thank you to the installing officers before we get to that. So before Jonathan takes over. Is that appropriate now, or would you like me to wait, Jonathan?
Go ahead, Most Worshipful.
Okay. There's a little line in our installation and regular lodges I would like to do for you now. And just because one of my favorites, the first time I ever heard it was a long, long time ago from Ron Brinkman, and I just loved it. Such is the nature of our institution that if some must of necessity rule and govern, so others must learn to submit and obey. Humility in both is an essential duty. These officers selected to govern your Grand Lodge are sufficiently conversant in the rules of propriety and the laws of our institution to avoid exceeding the powers which they are entrusted. And you are too generous a disposition to envy their preferment. I therefore trust that you will have but one aim, to please each other and to unite in the grand design of being happy and communicating happiness. Brother Jonathan, we don't want to make proclamation until after you've done your work, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then it's all yours.
Great. Thank you so much, Most Worshipful. I believe that all of the other appointed officers had already taken their obligation, and I don't have that ritual in front of me, so I'm going to call an audible and just got it working. Just mute the mics. I got there. We're going to call an audible and declare Brother Don Chasso, Jay Williams, Scott Jakewith, Virgil Brumberlow, Jared Roberts, Steve Bell, Don Bovia, Tyler Anderson, Leon Alderetta, and Tony Christofferson in their respective stations and places.
Excellent.
And I have one more set of installations to do, and it is for the District Deputy Grand Masters and District Deputy Grand Lecturers. So if the District Deputy Grand Masters who are online, those are Matt Stevenson for District 1, Michael Freitas for District 2, Dean Scogan for District 3, Sam Kelly for District 4, David Millis for District 5, Alex Cosby for District 6, Gary Scott for District 7, KT Manis for District 8, Dave Mullins for District 9, Gene Rutledge for District 10, and Chuck Bass for District 11. If you are online, please place your right hand across your left breast and repeat after me your official obligation. I solemnly promise upon the honor of a Mason
I solemnly promise
Promise upon the honor of a Mason
that in the office of District Deputy Grand Master,
that in the office of District Deputy Grand Master,
I will, according to the best of my ability,
I will
according to the best of my abilities,
faithfully and impartially perform all duties incumbent upon me.
faithfully and impartially perform all duties incumbent upon me,
That I will strictly conform to the Constitution, laws, rules, and regulations
that I will strictly
conform to the Constitution, laws, and regulations
of the Most Worshipful Grand Lodge of New Mexico
of the most
of the Most Worshipful Grand Lodge of New Mexico,
and all other ancient Masonic usages,
and
and
all
all
other
other
ancient
ancient Masonic usages,
so far as the same shall come to my knowledge, so help me God.
so far as the same shall come to my knowledge, so help me God.
Okay, and no more repeating, please, gentlemen. Right, worshipful sirs, you have been appointed District Deputy Grand Masters of the Grand Lodge of New Mexico. It is your duty to assist the Most Worshipful Grand Master in the discharge of his duties during the recess of the Grand Lodge, to visit all the lodges in your respective districts, to examine their records, and to see that they are properly kept, to correct any errors you may observe, and to make a full report of all your acts and doings to the Grand Master before the next annual communication of this Grand Lodge. In the discharge of your respective duties, you will have many serious and important questions propounded to you, solving of which will require each of you to be well skilled in Masonic jurisprudence. The office to which you have been appointed embraces an important trust, and the choice of you by the Grand Master is an evidence of the high opinion he entertains of your fidelity and discretion. Labor, therefore, to discharge the duties of your respective offices in such a manner as not to bring censure or dishonor upon the head of your Grand Master and the Grand Lodge of New Mexico. And then I have one more set to install. That would be the District Deputy Grand Lecturers, who are in District 1, Jimmy Clugston, District 2, Michael Freitas, District 3, Dean Scogan, District 4, Dwayne Millerin, District 5, Gary Stindle, District 6, Gary Willis, District 7, Randy Haney, District 8, KT Manis, District 9, Ping Rosin, District 10, Roger Morris, District 11, Randy West. If you brothers are online, please place your right hand upon your left breast and repeat after me your official obligation. I solemnly promise upon the honor of a Mason.
I solemnly promise on the
honor of a Mason.
That in the office of District Deputy Grand Lecturer.
That in the office of District Deputy Grand Lecturer.
I will, according to the best of my abilities.
I will, according to the best of my abilities.
Faithfully and impartially perform all duties incumbent upon me.
Faithfully and impartially perform all duties incumbent upon me.
That I will strictly conform to the Constitution, laws, rules, and regulations.
That I will
strictly conform to the Constitution, laws, rules, and regulations.
Of the Most Worshipful Grand Lodge of New Mexico.
Of the Most Worshipful Grand Lodge of New Mexico.
And all other ancient Masonic usages.
And all other ancient Masonic usages.
So far as the same shall come to my knowledge, so help me God.
So far as the same shall come to my knowledge, so help me God.
Thank you, brothers. You may be silent. Worshipful brothers, you have been appointed District Deputy Grand Lecturers of the Grand Lodge of New Mexico. It is your duty to assist the Grand Lecturer in the discharge of his duties, to present yourself as competent, credible, diplomatic, and passionate in teaching the Masonic ritual, and to teach the brethren in your districts that the standard work and lectures are of vital importance to the future of Masonry in New Mexico. The office to which you have been appointed embraces the important trust, and the choice of you by the Grand Master is an evidence of the high opinion he entertains of your zeal and devotion to the craft. The Grand Marshal, you will make proclamation.
I proclaim that the Worshipful Master of Masons and other officers, both elected and appointed for this Grand Lodge, have been regularly installed in their respective stations and places. This proclamation was made from the east, from the west, and from the south. All interested will take their notice and govern yourselves accordingly.
Brethren, if you would all rise and please join me in grand honors for these Grand Officers 2021.
Thank you, Most Worshipful. Is that the end of your show?
Worshipful, I would like to thank you for allowing me to do this. This is a little strange, but I really would appreciate doing this. And I want to congratulate the officers this year. This is a fine group, and I know you have a lot of challenges to work with, but best of luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Most Worshipful. So we've got just a few things left on the agenda, and we're going to wrap up for the day. First thing I'd like to do is I would like to thank Most Worshipful Dennis, Most Worshipful Bobby Arthur, and Most Worshipful Jefferson Jordan for agreeing to be on the degree team today. Sadly, Most Worshipful Dennis and Most Worshipful Bobby did not show up in person, so they're missing out on a wonderful gift. And I promise them if they show up again I promise them if they show up again someday, I'm going to make it up to them.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Most Worshipful.
Thank you.
Next thing I'd like to do is to thank those nice brothers that are running the Zoom meeting today, Brother Alec Reber and Brother Alex Cosby. They've already received their gift, and I believe they've consumed most of it last night in preparation for today's event. I'd also like to thank the audio-visual team today, which consists of Lynn Ruffgarden and Steve Balky. Three more seats. Thank you. Thank you. You better say that with your wife or she'll get upset with me. I've got a quick speech to give, and we've got a couple of gifts to hand out, and then we're going to wrap up for the day. This is actually modified from the speech that I put together for the annual communication proceedings, but I wanted to go ahead and give it here. The last year of all of our lives has been challenging. I will be telling my children, grandchildren, and if God is willing, my great-grandchildren about how we lived through the first true worldwide pandemic in a century. I know I will sit and lodge with my brothers several years from now and share the stories of the struggles we overcame in 2020. The novel coronavirus, COVID-19, has disrupted all of our lives, especially within our beloved fraternity. We've lost friends and brothers. The average age of our membership places the majority of the craft in a higher risk category. It may be many more months before we see some of our members patronize our assemblies yet again. The more recent news of a successful vaccine rollout, coupled with warmer weather, has reduced new cases. We're beginning to see loosening restrictions. As of today, the majority of our state is once again allowed to hold in-person Masonic activities, albeit at reduced numbers. I would like to say to each of you, I am proud of the adaptability that our brothers who embraced virtual meeting platforms over the last year to ensure business and Masonic converse continued. While we're not yet looking at this pandemic in the rearview mirror, I am optimistic that the worst is behind us. I encourage everyone to maintain a positive attitude and be patient while the world adapts to the next phases of this pandemic. Looking into 21 and 22, there are still many unknowns, which means it is difficult to plan. We will hold a MasoniCon this summer. We don't know how many people will be willing or able to attend in person, so it'll have to have a virtual component. There will be an annual communication on time in 22. but it may have to adapt to last-minute changes to scope and location. There will be Masonic education activities this year, but they will be held virtually. The Blue Lodges will likely need to focus on their backlog of degrees for the next several months. Grand Lodge officers will not rush back to traveling despite the strong desire. I know we will get back to work in our lodges, but it's going to take a little time. Although I wish I could have seen each of you in person today. Most everyone has to settle for sitting in bedrooms, offices, and living rooms, sitting on laptops, headphones, tablets, and phones, trying to find the best camera feed, forgetting to mute, forgetting to unmute, and smiling at our brothers and friends wherever dispersed throughout the state. We had our own challenges here in the lodge room today with our setup. But I'm comforted that we will get through this challenging time because in every virtual meeting, I have seen brothers demonstrate that time, patience, and perseverance accomplish all things. Our institution has outlived the fortunes of kings and the mutations of empires. It will survive this pandemic, as we survived the last pandemic 100 years ago. Not only will we survive, but we will come out stronger. Because I know each of you will continue practicing patience during these challenging times. You will continue to be Masonic in all of your interactions, and you will continue to have faith in the Supreme Architect of the universe. Thank you again for your faith in me to lead the Grand Lodge of New Mexico, and thank you for everyone that participated to the event today and those attending online. Thank you. So at this point, I believe that my wife would like to tell me something. Show me something, do something, I'm not really sure.
Grandmaster, it is my pleasure to present to you a very special handmade gift from Most Worshipful past Grandmaster Dennis Anderson and his wife Barb.
Wow. Let's see it.
Stuff falls out.
Oh, come on, open it up.
Thank you for being the courier and arranging all of that.
You're welcome.
Most Worshipful Dennis and Barb, please accept my humble thanks for the gift. Hard to plan for your Grand Lodge year, but it definitely helps to have good friends who are taking care of you. So thank you so much.
You're more than welcome, Most
With that, thank you so much.
You're more.
With that, I think there's one more, and this is Right Worshipful Brother Bill, who on behalf of Right Worshipful Brother Jimmy Clugston brought me a.
No, I got a whole.
Oh, there's a seal. Okay, you got to drop it in the phone.
On there. And please take a look at the outside of the box. Okay, let me erase it. Now I'll get to it yet. This is just the beginning, brethren. Right Worshipful Jimmy Clugston has been making gavels for quite some time. And he wanted me to make sure that I got this to Grandmaster Jonathan. But the first gift he wanted me to give, apparently Grandmaster Jonathan had trouble getting his ducks in a row. And so Jimmy wanted me to present this because this is a duck he can get in a row. And this is a very compliant duck, and mainly because this duck doesn't give a crap. And now I give you the craftsmanship of Jimmy Clarkson.
Come over here to this camera. if it's okay with you as well. Most worshipful, or hard workable Jimmy Clarkson asked me what I wanted for a gavel, and I said, I like setting malt better than gavel. So we put this together. It's heavy, very heavy. Oh, thank you for bringing that, Bill. For those that didn't hear, Right Worshipful Jimmy asked if what I wanted for a gavel, and I told him a setting maul. So there we have it. It's got some girth to it. Right Worshipful Jimmy, if you are online today, I would like to offer my thank you, my sincere thanks for getting this together for me. And tasking Bill with bringing me not only a beautiful setting maul, but a duck. Thank you, Bill, for taking care of that. I have one quick announcement, and that is at the end of this, the officers that are present, we're going to meet in the back to get pictures taken so we can update them on the website. And the last but not least, I would be remiss if I did not thank the most important person in the room here today, which is my beautiful wife, without whom I would not be here. She put a lot of work into planning for a Grand Lodge event for the last several years. It was obviously now kind of thrown out the window due to the coronavirus pandemic, and so she's now had to help me start planning for the next Grand Lodge with some contingencies in place. It's going to be challenging, but I know she's up to the challenge. So I want to thank you so much, honey, for being here today and supporting me throughout all of this. Check my list and make sure I got it all. Okay, that's all we have. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the 144th Annual Grand Lodge Communication. Waiving all signs and ceremonies, I now declare the Grand Lodge of New Mexico closed. Brother Grand Marshal, you will make the proclamation.
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. I have been directed to proclaim, and I hereby do proclaim, that the most worshipful Grand Lodge of ancient, free, and accepted Masons of New Mexico is closed in ample form.
Thank you all, brethren, for being here. Everyone be safe traveling home.